All they have to do is wait, and there's nothing he can do about it. Eventually, he's going to have to go and plant here. They do try and push up, and Reflex will pick up that kill. But even without that, it would have been just fine. I mean, 3D Max are really showing us something here. They are playing patiently, and they're showing themselves at a whole new caliber.
They are. And that was a nice attempt there by LDLC as well. You could clearly see, Shoxy just getting the bait. And NBK actually stepping up when he needed to land that shot, because that's exactly what had to happen there. Shoxy throws himself in first, gets the info as to the setup, and then NBK follows up behind him with that AK and gets the headshot. So LDLC, some good execution, but also 3D Max with some great defense. That molly there to support. Corona again on shore. He's going to just catch them running through the smoke. Quick 1-for-1, but he still gets a headshot off on Smiths.
Yeah, and the blind shot coming through from Ixart here. The Molotov, so the grenade to follow. They are doing a lot of damage right now. Still a 3-on-3, and Disturb will come and help out at the last second. Very good timing, but he does go down eventually. Still no bomb plant happening. Ixart's going to get caught, so now it's down to the man who's been playing competitively since 2001. He picks up the one, denies the bomb plant. He still has one more job to do, and it's Kiyoshima here, and he's going to play the long con. Look at this. We're talking about experience. I mean, yeah, since 2001, this guy's been playing competitive Counter-Strike. He decides to run all the way down on long, and I don't think Kiyoshima's going to see this coming. Wait a minute. Yeah, he's thinking it might be short, because that's where he last was now. Natu's making his way up. He's been spotted. Now the battle is on. Looking for the headshot, and it's got to be Kiyoshima. Comes out on top. LDLC take it 16-12. A very nice attempt from Natu. Tough 1-on-2.
Oh, that was incredible. And Kiyoshima, he did plant for long. But it was going to be LDLC coming out ahead, and I think we're going to have a quick word with them, with the winners. But 3D Max really putting up one hell of a show here, despite it being 0-2. Well fought, great rounds, and of course these guys are going to shake hands. Lots of respect on both sides here between both of these teams. A lot of experienced veterans here. And they faced so many times in the past, but LDLC will take this win and manage to move on into the grand finals here of DreamHack Stockholm. 3D Max, they made it through the groups, eliminating both Danish teams in the process, a strong favorite in Dignitas as well. But when it comes to the playoffs, they weren't quite able to clinch it this time. Now, I believe I'm supposed to get a word with someone here, and this time we're going to make that jump, so that's pretty good. I'm getting better at it. Well, let's go ahead and have a word real quick with MBK and see exactly how things went with LDLC. Because right now, we are definitely impressed. All right, well, let's go ahead and see exactly. MBK, have him here now with me. Congratulations on the 2-0 win already. Now, did everything work? Did this go exactly as you had planned?
Well, on Cash, I think we had some troubles regarding communication on our T side. We started very strong, and then we just, rounds just slipped away. Coming into the city side, we knew their game style, and once you know it, I think it's pretty easy to read their game. So we managed to control and know what their plan was. Coming into Dust 2, well, I think it was pretty much the same thing on map 1. We make a decent first half, and coming into the second one, well, we struggled to close the game because their game style is very aggressive and very surprising. So it was a tough game in the end.
No, it was. And that was something that you mentioned before this match as well, in the interview as well, is that you were going to have to be able to deal with their aggression. Now, that is definitely something that posed a problem. On Cash in particular, when they just started running into you, what was going in through your mind? Was that when the communication issues started to come up with the team?
Yeah, well, I think the side started 6-1 for us, and then we started losing rounds left and right. Yeah, that's where communication plays a big factor. When you get when you're playing against aggressive opponents, you have to be able to communicate extremely well within your team. Otherwise, everything is just going to fall apart, and you're going to get picked left and right. So that's their game style, but if you're ready for them, I think you can counter them.
Yeah, and the last question, exactly, but that's the thing, if you're ready for them. Regarding Dust 2, you did have time, you had a perfect example from what happened last night in their group stage versus Dignitas. How much of a role did that play going into this match here on Dust 2?
Well, we watched the game yesterday night just before going to bed, so we were kind of prepared for the game style, and although you prepared, it's just taking you out of your A game because you have to adapt 24/7, you have to be ready to kill people whenever they are in front of you, so it was just surprising, but I think in the end, if we fix those communication issues, we're going to get better games.
Well, best of luck. I mean, you're going to be facing either Fnatic or Titan in the grand finals. I mean, which one, real quick, would you rather face?
Whatever. Doesn't matter. It's just 5 skins on the server, so I'm fine.
All right, perfect. Well, good luck, man. We're going to let you go ahead and get your gear. And guys, we are actually going to head back over there. So we've heard from LDLC now, 3D Max, best of fights. But we are going to head back into the studio now to go over this last map on Dust 2 now between LDLC and 3D Max. And I want to get Thorin's word on this as well. If this is kind of like what happened, if he saw this all kind of developing in his mind's eye before we went into this match. Is that how it played out for you, Thorin? Did it go to plan?
I think actually the 3D Max guys gave more of a fight than I thought they would have. I mean, the way it was going early on, it looked like, okay, same story as the first map, okay? First half, they get into all those X on X situations, lose the majority of them, get a few rounds though. It feel like, oh, they've got enough rounds, but each time you're thinking, oh, yeah, but LDLC switches onto the dominant side now. They're obviously going to win more, and you know they're going to win the map. But what you really saw there was actually LDLC looked a bit shaken when they got to the map point. Like I expected them to close it out pretty easily, but then the fact that they were like a little bit pressured meant that the Finns knew they had nothing left to lose at that point. They just went all out, and they almost extended the game there. It looked at the end like, oh, maybe they're going to make it to overtime. It was a very exciting game at the end.
Yeah, it certainly was.
I think if you put into the calculation, all right, we ended 16-13, LDLC win it, you could just take away from that, right, went as expected, LDLC 2-0, 3D Max, let's move on. But if you then consider, like we were talking about sort of during the game, that actually 3D Max won both the pistol rounds. They just happened to lose the subsequent rounds. But if they hadn't, probably actually, I mean, unlike on Cash, where I don't think the pistol rounds made that big of a difference, I don't think 3D Max could have been within striking range to take Cash. They might have very well won Dust 2 if that hadn't happened.
I think that also kind of like hints towards the strengths of the teams, though, is that LDLC in that match was almost consistently getting kills with the pistols every time. They had their level of skill was that high, whereas every time the Finnish guys won a round, it felt like it took everything from them. They had to just go all out, and they need a bit of luck here and this guy to step there. Like that's actually why it was an entertaining game, because if you even looked at the scoreboard, there was no time that any of the Finnish players was ahead and one was like lagging behind. Everyone was doing a pretty good job, and I feel like they gave their best absolute effort. And yeah, LDLC maybe had a gear they didn't hit that they could have blown them away, but it ended up being a lot more competitive than it should have probably.
Yeah. And this ties back into this actually ties back into a point that was made earlier on before we even got into this first match. Is are LDLC going to be are they going to be as decisive in the victory as they were in the group phase when they demolished NIP? So
from the LDLC
what does this make
side,
you think going into the finals?
I mean, from their side, it wasn't actually really as convincing as you'd want it to be. I mean, I wasn't that impressed, to be honest with you. It felt, there was a degree to which it felt like every time they got the lead and they pushed away a bit, they kind of knew they were going to win, so they were cruising a bit. Like you could see they weren't so crisp in what they were doing. But even so, if you're going to go and you're going to stomp this tournament, you're going to beat whoever you play in the final here, you kind of want there to be a few like really decisive games to be like, wow, look how powerful this team is, and like you have to really respect them, whereas they weren't necessarily on point entirely in that game, I don't think.
So something to look forward to, I think, for all the Finnish fans out there in the future, and hopefully, as we talked about earlier, a bit of a spark for them to, for more people to start playing and getting back into it. Maybe old talent, or maybe just a new one coming up.
The new blood, man. That's what it's all about right now. It's going to see the new talent coming in with Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
Some of the players we saw in this game, like I said, there was a lot of rounds that were spread amongst their team, but like I think Reflex, for example, had some really nice shots in the game. Yeah. What's the guy, Khan or whatever his name is? Karan. He had some good shots. Disturbed wasn't quite as good as I thought it would be. He was just okay. But in general, yeah, you saw there were some bright spots on their team. And also, what I thought was good was they didn't like crumble under the pressure of playing on stage. Like they didn't just get rocked 16-2 each time just because they couldn't play. They were actual gamers. They were in it.
Yeah, and actually, we were talking earlier and making a little bit of fun about how the Finns, when they were winning yesterday, weren't getting that excited. So I'm wondering if do you think that's like a Finnish mentality thing, that actually they get affected a little bit less by the pressure because they may be just a little bit more relaxed in that sense?
I'm not entirely sure it's that.
You've tried to
spin that into their favor there. I think they just aren't that emotional in that sense, They don't get that riled up, though.
Yeah, well, I asked because I remember seeing Alu play a couple of times on LAN and being just very cool in almost any situation. Win or lose, he just looks like when he pulls off insane 1-on-3 clutches with...
Well, the joke we always say in sports about the Finnish teams is that the reason why they're like that is because when they're winning, they're like, it's coming any minute. Like, when's that goal coming? When's that, So they don't want to, you don't count your eggs before they've hatched, Anders.
All right.
Because someone's going to come along and smash them all.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get attached to any eggs that you have, Anders.
All right. I'll try and learn something from that.
Yeah, we will. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket real quick, guys, and see how things are going to progress here throughout the day, because we have another semifinal match to look forward to. Fnatic took first seed in Group B yesterday over 3D Max in their first match, actually. That was one of the wins that Fnatic got yesterday. So they will be facing off against Titan up next here on the stream, our second semifinal match. And right now, LDLC and 3D Max are still clearing out, so we will have a bit of a break now going into that semifinal, because we do need to let the teams have some time to get set up and properly warm up and get prepared for their match. But what do you
No doubt. Yeah, the last Swedish hope here, Fnatic.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's Fnatic going on here. And now, we were going about that NIP, the home turf thing, and, are they going to be able to do it here on DreamHack? NIP have faltered, but Fnatic, they're definitely looking like they showed up here. They definitely looking like the team to beat, because they did not falter at all in their group phase. They looked very solid indeed.
Yeah.
So definitely the team to watch. Titan are the other French team who made it out of Group A, and they will be their opponents. But before we get to that, guys, we're going to take a short break. So it's time for you guys to go get some food and join us back here in a few when we get into our second semifinal match.